Welcome to opening day of the sessions of the Court of Appeals of the State of New York for the year 1999, the final year of the century. That is momentous in and of itself. But the day is made even more significant by the fact that our first official event of the final year of the century is the swearing in of Albert M. Rosenblatt as an associate judge of the Court of Appeals. Plainly, for this court, the 20th century is going to have a grand finish. For this splendid occasion, my colleagues and I are delighted to greet Governor George E. Pataki, Lieutenant Governor Mary O'Donoghue, Attorney General Eliot Spitzer, Senate Majority Leader Joseph Bruno, Assembly Speaker Sheldon Silver, Julia Carlson Rosenblatt, Betsy Rosenblatt, and every single one of you here today, family and friends of Judge Rosenblatt, and of course, honored guests of the court. We're particularly pleased to welcome home former Court of Appeals Judges Richard Simons and Mrs. Simons, and Vito Titone, and especially to have in our chamber members of the executive, legislative, and judicial branches of government, as well as officers and members of the bar. There are many ways to present Judge Rosenblatt. We all know him as a prolific author and a distinguished judge. Since 1975, he has served as a trial judge, chief administrative judge, and justice of the Appellate Division, Second Department. I am very pleased to see Presiding Justice Guy Mangano and several members of that outstanding bench in the audience today. You will have no difficulty spotting them. They're the ones who are positively aglow, beaming, radiant with pride. That joy, that pride is shared, I know, by Presiding Justice Cardona, Chief Administrative Judge Jonathan Lippman, and Judge Rosenblatt's many, many friends from the trial and appellate bench, including former Presiding Justice Milton Mullen, former Chief Administrative Judge Robert Size, and former Administrative Judge Burton Roberts. If not as a judge, I could alternatively present Judge Rosenblatt as a former district attorney, a post he held with obvious delight between 1969 and 1975. Browsing through Judge Rosenblatt's recent illustrated history of the New York State District Attorneys Association actually has helped me connect his service as a district attorney to another very important part of his life, and that is as a Baker Street irregular. As District Attorney Richard Brown explains in his preface to the book, Judge Rosenblatt is himself a super sleuth, a particular specialist in unearthing the mysteries of history. In Judge Rosenblatt's household, the birthday of Sherlock Holmes is no doubt celebrated as a family holiday. If not as a judge or district attorney or Baker Street irregular, I might alternatively introduce Judge Rosenblatt as a son of Dutchess County, a proud son of Dutchess County. Indeed, he is the second Dutchess County judge ever to serve on this court in its entire 151-year history. The first son of Dutchess County to serve on this court, Charles H. Ruggles, was a member of our very first bench when the court was formed in the year 1847. I am somewhat discomfited to add that Judge Ruggles later went on to become the Chief Judge of the Court of Appeals. Well, we don't have to follow every precedent. If not as a former judge and district attorney, or as a Baker Street irregular, or as a son of Dutchess County, I could alternatively introduce Judge Rosenblatt by distinctive personal qualities that will unquestionably add great strength of a different sort to this court, and by that I mean physical strength. It is a great relief to know, for example, that should the Court of Appeals ever be invited to participate in a worldwide judicial squash tournament, no longer will we come up short. We now have a grade A professional in our midst. Nor, I might add, do we remain vulnerable in the area of skiing. Indeed, Judge Rosenblatt is even a contributor to Ski magazine. During a recent search of his writings, I encountered an article in Ski magazine in which Judge Rosenblatt speculates on the possibility for increasing public interest in the sport by adding violence, brawling, fisticuffs to ski competition.
Makes sense. Turn it into hockey. What have you done, guys?
And that, of course, brings me directly back to the Court of Appeals. We, too, at times, think about how we might increase public interest in our court proceedings. I have to admit, we had not previously considered violence, brawling, and fisticuffs to accomplish that end. But it is clear that Judge Rosenblatt will be a lively contributor of fresh ideas on that subject, as well as every single facet of the work of the court. Judges Bellicosa, Smith, Levine, Saparic, Wesley, and I are so pleased to welcome this extraordinary jurist as one of our colleagues. As we work closely into the 21st century, together maintaining the high traditions of this court, together discharging our precious responsibility to the people of this state, to the law, and to the ideal of justice, I am hopeful that over time we will even come to discover what the M, that middle initial in Judge Rosenblatt's name, stands for. Governor Pataki, we thank you for another superb appointment to the Court of Appeals, and we now call upon you for your remarks.
Thank you very much. Chief Judge Kaye, judges of the Court of Appeals, Lieutenant Governor Mary Donahue, Attorney General Spitzer, Senate Majority Leader Bruno, Speaker Silver, distinguished guests and friends. I am delighted to be here on what is a wonderful day, not just for Albert, Julia, and Betsy Rosenblatt, but for all New Yorkers. Nominating a judge to our great Court of Appeals is one of the most awesome responsibilities that our Constitution entrusts to the governor. In contemplating my remarks today, I thought it would be fitting to shed some light on my decision-making and explain how it has come to pass that we are assembled here today as Albert Rosenblatt is sworn in as the 103rd judge of the Court of Appeals. After receiving the names of the 7 candidates, the first thing I did was to ask for all the writings, judicial and non-judicial, of all the candidates. My initial enthusiasm, unfortunately, was dampened considerably when box after box after box of books, articles, monographs, decisions, Ski magazine articles, and other publications were wheeled into my office. I said, how could these 7 people be this prolific? Don't they have lives outside of the law? That's when I got the bad news. All 7 boxes were by Judge Rosenblatt. Now, as governor, I've worked to have practical, creative, and common sense solutions to seemingly intractable and difficult problems. I remember back to law school where you'd get those thick case books. You didn't have to read them. All you needed was an outline. So I called John O'Mara, the chairman of the Commission on Judicial Nominations, and asked him, please, John, send me a summary of Judge Rosenblatt's writings. O'Mara tragically responded, are you kidding, Governor? I don't get paid for being on the commission. It would have taken me weeks to read all of those things. So I opened up the first box after calling Libby and telling her I probably wouldn't be home for a week. But instantly, my enthusiasm was rekindled in the very first article that I read. I discovered that Judge Rosenblatt had resolved in a prodigious tour de force of legal scholarship one of the most vexing problems ever to confront jurists in the English-speaking world. I refer, of course, to the ancient dispute over whether pled or pleaded is proper. He did it. He wrote the article, brilliantly marshaling authorities ranging from Fowler to Shakespeare. And with ferocious logic, Judge Rosenblatt demonstrated compellingly that pled is an abomination, and that Western civilization is doomed unless the propriety of pleaded is universally acknowledged. Impressed as I was, I knew my duty. I kept reading. In particular, I knew I had become familiar with Judge Rosenblatt's legal opinions as a judge of the county court, justice of the Supreme Court, and justice of the appellate division. So I read all of his decisions, and they led me to an escapable conclusion. Or should I say, I readed all of your decisions. But they did lead me to an escapable conclusion. Luckily, the rule of law is generally a clearer guide than the rule of grammar. And when not, we're blessed to have a jurist like Judge Rosenblatt to show us the way. In any event, the conclusion was, and is, that Albert Rosenblatt is more than a superb grammarian and more than a brilliant jurist. He's a man of extraordinary scholarship. What better proof of that can there be than one 7-page opinion, matter of Laraca, where Judge Rosenblatt was able to write 51 footnotes to a 7-page opinion, including 6 footnotes to one sentence. It's all there. And the breadth of your scholarship is indisputable. What better proof of this could there be than Judge Rosenblatt's ability to cite in his opinions the following eminent publications: the International Journal of Clinical and Experimental Hypnosis, the Rocky Mountain Law Review, Fingerprint World, and perhaps most impressively, the Australian Dental Journal. Let me skip a little bit. I have 37 footnotes of my own on my own screen. In this, let me finish by just saying that in this majestic courtroom, levity or attempts at levity often seem incongruous. But today, we're celebrating the swearing in of Albert Rosenblatt. And wherever Albert Rosenblatt is, a sense of humor can never be out of place. In the end, Judge Rosenblatt is here today, not so much because of his enormous learning or his analytic brilliance or his abiding common sense. We can and must admire him for these extraordinary gifts. But Albert Rosenblatt will soon become the 103rd judge of the New York Court of Appeals for deeper reasons, for his many virtues like the gracious wit with which he has blessed his colleagues and family, Of those virtues, the unwavering selflessness of Albert Rosenblatt stands out. I was proud to nominate him because for the last 30 years, he has selflessly dedicated himself to public service. As an assistant district attorney in Dutchess County, district attorney of Dutchess County, judge of the county court, justice of the Supreme Court, chief administrative judge and justice of the appellate division, I know, we all know, that the countless sacrifices he has made for the cause of public service are all the greater given the limitless opportunities he easily could have secured in the private sector. And I was proud to nominate Albert Rosenblatt because of his remarkable humility. With characteristic eloquence and modesty, when he was nominated to this great court, Judge Rosenblatt said, quote, "I hope I have the wisdom. I know I have the will. I know, we all know, that your wealth of wisdom will enrich our Court of Appeals and our Empire State. I know, we all know, that your wit, intellect, and modesty will earn you the love of all the members of your new family here in the Court of Appeals, and your talents and wisdom as a jurist will wonderfully serve the people of our state. In short, that I should nominate Albert Rosenblatt was, to quote one of his and my heroes, elementary." God bless the Court of Appeals, and God bless the newest members of its family, Albert, Julia, and Betsy Rosenblatt. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Governor. And now for a serious moment before we hear from Judge Rosenblatt, I would like to ask Judge Rosenblatt to step forward for the oath of office. Would you raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, Albert M. Rosenblatt, do solemnly swear
I, Albert M. Rosenblatt, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of Associate Judge of the Court of Appeals of the State of New York,
Associate Judge of the Court of Appeals of the State of New York,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
We will next hear from our newest colleague, Judge Albert M. Rosenblatt.
Well, let me say at the outset, Governor, how gratified I am for your having given me the opportunity to become a member of this distinguished court, a court composed of members and a chief judge whom I greatly respect and admire. I'm delighted to join Judges Joseph Bellicosa, George Bundy Smith, Howard Levine, Carmen Saparic, Richard Wesley, and Chief Judge Judith Kaye. I take your words, Governor, and those of the Chief Judge as an inspiration for me to fulfill the confidence that you've shown, and I will carry them with me so as to do everything within my power to live up to the trust and the expectations that go with the appointment to this court of courts. Your words, although they began as a roast, not a swearing in, are words that swell the head. But my family has a way of dealing with that. I undertook 2 official acts in preparation for today's swearing-in. I carefully signed the certificate of office, and I took out the garbage at home.
Sounds good.
And if your words were not enough, Governor, and they surely are, there are aspects of the judges all around us, not only the former judges of this court who are here today, but predecessors who look down on us as if perched from some sort of judicial heaven. And I will set my course so as to try to win a figurative nod or smile of approval from this august mezzanine, and maybe even a wink from Judge Charles Ruggles. I feel above all thankful to the governor, of course, and also to others, many of whom are here today. The members of this court, my colleagues-to-be, have been wonderfully welcoming. They have showered me with collegiality, warm wishes, a helping hand, a patient attitude, as well as a window seat. On the aisle, not to mention 186 pounds of briefs that arrived by overnight super-duper express courier mail to this junior judge. I even looked for the mailing label to see if it read, "Do not open until after Christmas." It did not. I'm thankful also to the Senate for the courteous treatment that they gave me and for allowing me to expand a bit on constitutional law, followed by the governor's reference to what turned out to be a debate before the Senate Confirmation Committee as to whether it was better to say pled or pleaded. But that debate before the Senate Confirmation hearing proved so divisive that the only consensus that emerged was that it would be best to just pick a jury and go to trial. I've been unimaginably lucky in having been associated with people of extraordinary ability and devotion for my entire professional life, and many of them are here today. I've served on the appellate division, and I see my dear friends and colleagues of that court led by its presiding Justice Guy Mangano, and I've learned so much from them over the last 10 years. Not only are they high-minded and talented, but the case volume of that court makes it reportedly the busiest intermediate appellate court in the world. I say the galaxy or the universe, and I challenge anyone to disprove that. I see some of my former assistant district attorneys who have gone on to become judges, leaders of the bar. They worked with me side by side and never let me forget the balance between the rights of the individual and the interests of the state and the delicacy in that formulation, and that the line that separates them is best visible with an eyepiece that affords both the immediate and the long-range view. I'm grateful to my law clerks, George Marlowe, now Judge Marlowe, Jennifer Van Tile, now Dutchess County Bar President Van Tile, referee Jack Shackner, and my present law clerk, Michelle Schauer, all of whom have been models of dedication and ability. Who else with such good nature could endure my repeated insistence that the use of the passive voice qualifies as a Class B misdemeanor? And my secretaries, the late Ruth Hickey, and then Terry Polaro, and now Inez Tierney, both of whom are here, and who over the course of 30 years have not only kept me organized, which is not always an easy task, but who cheerfully redo the 4th draft and even the 5th draft of a decision because it omitted a serial comma. I'm also appreciative of so many people who both publicly and privately had kind things to say, considering that when the governor nominated me, there were other things happening. If several years from now, someone were to ask me if I remember where I was and what was happening during the week of my nomination, I would say yes. The President of the United States was impeached, and we bombed Iraq. Apart from that, not much else was going on. I also see some friends who have helped me through a number of election campaigns. 5 elections, that is, over the course of 30 years. The last one being a second 14-year term in Supreme Court. Let me go on record now, Governor, as being in favor of term limits. 4 terms of 14 years should be enough for anyone. These folks have helped teach me how to listen to people in the community, and they've reminded me that a public servant should be just that. I also see some of my squash player friends and ski instructor friends out there who have helped me to create escape valves that have proven reasonably harmless. And my cousins David and Alan, who, like I, think that our athleticism comes from Grandfather Hirsch, who, although not an All-American, might in the old country have been all-shtetl. There are also friends in this audience from the Sherlock Holmes Society, and they're known as the Baker Street Irregulars. To the rest of you, I say, you may not know who they are, but they know who you are. And there are my classmates out there who have gone on to great careers, even though it all started in a setting that was a model for the movie The Paper Chase. I'm also heartened to see many other colleagues and friends out here today, and among them, some former bellhops with whom I worked my way through college and law school, lifting what must have amounted to thousands of suitcases at Grossinger's Hotel. Being a bellhop for 7 summers has added immeasurably to my judicial development, because it gave me the strength in my legs and my biceps to carry the 186 pounds of briefs that were deposited at my doorstep. My old friends from Grossinger's, including its former bellhops, are here. Dr. Samuel Bash of Mount Sinai Hospital, Dr. Leon Esterowitz of Springfield, Virginia, and Dr. Jerry Grossinger of Allentown, Pennsylvania. Please show us your muscles. Of the summer help, they used to say up there, be generous to your bellhop. He may someday be operating on your liver. I'm grateful to my family members, my sister Rhoda, and my cousins Hilda and Alan and David and Ruth and Susan. It's my sister and I who remember how our parents, although long gone, were models of simple decency. And I'm thankful above all to 2 people who mean the most in the world to me. My daughter Betsy, who has given me so much pride and joy that I see this as an event for me to reciprocate. And to my wife Julie, my chum and best friend, whose love has been unconditional and whose moral compass has been an unswerving guide for me for 28 years. I wish that all of you can feel as fortunate as I do today. I enter on these duties with a sense of awe and with awareness of the serious responsibilities that they carry. I'm going to do the very best that I can, and I feel well fortified given your support and your friendship. No one could ask for anything more. Thank you.
That concludes our ceremony today. It is now my privilege, on behalf of Judge Rosenblatt and the Rosenblatt family, to extend an invitation to each of you to a reception right across the street on Elk Street at the New York State Bar Association. Thank you.